Welcome into Pallilo Points. I'm Brandon Strange of Sports Map Houston. That's Charlie Pallilo from the aptly named Charlie Pallilo Show, which you can hear weekdays 10 to noon on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5 FM in Houston, or anytime on demand at your favorite podcast provider. And while you're here watching us, please hit subscribe to the Sports Map Houston YouTube channel. Hit the bell for notifications. We do appreciate the support. Charlie, last week on this channel, you and I spoke about the Texans, and you said if the Texans were in the game in the fourth quarter against the Browns, that would be impressive. Well, they were, injuries and all, and I really wish we could talk about that, but it's the injuries that are the headline. Everyone from Cody Stutes to John McClain has been telling us that Davis Mills wasn't ready, and we saw for ourselves that he wasn't. We'll talk about that a little later. And that sparked a bunch of debate about whether the Texans would activate Deshaun Watson. David Culley said that's not happening. Our own Lance Zierlein said, hey, Deshaun's on the roster. They should force the issue. If he holds out, file a grievance. Now, I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole of the Deshaun thing, but I do want to get your thoughts real quickly on how the Texans are handling the Watson case during this.
Well, from the jump to me, if he's signed, he's your best quarterback. Obviously, if you are trying to win games, he should have been their starter from the go. And if he was then going to choose to breach his contract, or maybe if the Texans said, we're going to play the guy, maybe then Goodell steps in and says, no, you're not. Now, he'd still be paid if he were on that commissioner's list. I guess Nick Caserio, as much as an NFL general manager, is going to admit, yeah, we're not trying to win games this season. He did when he said, well, it's really more about process than it is about results. I would like a more direct, we don't want to win very many games this season, and playing Deshaun Watson might improve our chances there, and throw in if there's the risk of injury that could devalue his trade value should we get to that point come the end of this season. At least directly come out and say, we don't want this man representing us, our franchise, the city of Houston, on a football field while everything is swirling. But I don't think that's the reason they're not playing him.
While you were watching the game, were you wondering, like I was, how good the Texans could have been with Deshaun Watson had Bill O'Brien not been the head coach? Because Tim Kelly looked pretty good.
Yeah, and whether he has had the reins loosened with David Culley's hands not really in the pie of play calling offensively or really defensively, right? He's cheerleader in charge, and morale matters and day-to-day effort and focus. So I'm not just dismissing Culley's presence, but obviously Bill O'Brien was Emperor Nero, fiddling away, grabbing every fiddle he could while things were burning to the ground last year. But Watson was very productive, so I don't know that he'd be Patrick Mahomes if playing under Tim Kelly. Watson did have good things to say about Tim Kelly, endorsed his staying on as the offensive coordinator after O'Brien was fired, and well, they did that. And so it just shines a new light on what a fiasco this is. But that Browns game, big picture, I think it was close to ideal for the Texans in that, you know what? You want your fans to feel encouraged by, hey, it seems like coaching is better, and they seem to be playing cohesively and reasonably coherently, and they're in the game deeply into the fourth quarter. And then you wind up losing the game without shame, and look into that 2022 draft. The more you lose, the better off that you are. And very unfortunate for Tyrod Taylor, as you reference. I don't know if nature ran its course with a healthy Taylor, if they were 2-5, or 3-7, where you'd say, okay, we need to find out about Davis Mills, or are we in the top of the first round market for a quarterback in what unfortunately looks to be a weak top of the first round market for quarterbacks? Texans timing. But Davis Mills, sooner than later, if he's thrown in there, you should get more body of work. And if Taylor's absence is just a week or two, I presume when he's healthy, he'll go back in there. But if it's 4 to 6 weeks, not that you expect to be have Mills as a finished product at the end of that stretch, but you get more data. And was it just a chuck of a dart at the board? Hey, Russell Wilson went in the third round. Tom Brady went in the sixth round. Or no. You're a quarterback of the future. The near-term future is not on the roster, and all your planning toward 2022 can then be focused as a result of what you saw or did not see from Davis Mills.
Well, let's get to some solutions that maybe don't involve Davis Mills, because the first one, that was on the tip of everyone's tongue as soon as this happened was Cam Newton. And there's a couple interesting things about this situation that I think relate to Cam. Number one is they have 10 days between the Panthers and the Bills games, which is plenty of time to get a veteran QB acclimated to the system. Number two is after the Bills, they face the Patriots, which you would think that Cam would have, a pretty good understanding of how to attack them because he's had experience. What do you think the odds are that we see the Texans, if this is a long-term injury or a lingering injury for Tyrod Taylor, that maybe they go grab a Cam Newton off the scrap heap?
I would lean against their thinking. To me, the upside with Cam is, okay, if he's better than Davis Mills or Jeff Driscoll promoted from the practice squad, you win a game or two, but he's not going to be a difference maker in terms of, hey, they're a sleeper team because the AFC South is terrible this year, if that's indeed how it plays out. So I don't want incremental improvement if that's what a 32-year-old Cam Newton would offer. And let's face it, while Cam had a fine career and had an absolute legit MVP year leading Carolina to 15-1 in the Super Bowl, as quarterbacks in the NFL goes, Cam is not thought of as the sharpest tool in the shed. I don't know whether it was pot-shotting the guy or there were elements of truth to it, but that the rookie Mac Jones was supposedly helping Cam Newton more with the Patriots playbook in preseason than the other way around. Also, while Cam Newton, you might think, well, Tyrod Taylor, the Texans offensive line, while maybe decent, you need a quarterback who can really run around as opposed to a more stationary Davis Mills. Cam Newton has never been known as a great protector of the football. Tyrod Taylor, he's a turnover-proof type guy. So I don't think Cam, as a short-term guy, really addresses the Texans' needs. Or even if he did, it wouldn't do so in a way that really vaults your upside to where you're playing meaningful games the back half of December. So I'm a hard pass on Cam to the Texans.
John McClain, before the season, said that in his estimation, if Tyrod got hurt early in the season, he didn't think the Texans trusted Mills enough to start. And so Sunday was his first snaps with the ones, or what's left of the ones. What do you see them doing in this situation? Because, do you think Mills will get the start on a short leash? Will they go to Jeff Driscoll? Or are they just going to use the results from this week? Because it's a short week. It's really hard to install somebody completely new into a system on a short week. Do they use the results from the Panthers game to kind of inform their next roster moves at quarterback? How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, and it speaks to the bizarreness and in some ways sadness of the whole situation. The info you get on Mills, your ability to evaluate Mills, if he's your starter game 3 through game 7, how much different is that than if he was just practicing and studying and learning and you made the switch and he was your guy games 13 through 17? Is that a huge difference? How specifically does Nick Caserio view that difference? Because I'm all for OJT, unless you think the guy is so hopelessly overmatched, or the offensive line with a not especially mobile quarterback is putting him at undue physical risk. But you do want to learn this season about Davis Mills because you don't want to just say, yeah, well, we just haphazardly threw away a third-round pick. We don't think he's ready. It's not like we're pursuing a playoff spot, but we're still not going to play him. Jeff Driscoll's a ridiculous alternative. So do you go look for that journeyman-type guy to give you more credible snaps in the short term? I would be inclined to just go with Mills, and if Taylor's a 4 to 6 week injury, and if you've seen enough of Mills when Taylor gets back, you put Taylor in there. Or maybe if Mills shows modest progress that you're thinking, well, maybe he's our number 2 going forward, but you still need to pursue a starter hard for 2022. But, it's not as if they're imperiling a run at the postseason by going with Mills against Carolina. Whoever they play at Buffalo, they're probably going to lose. If that was Tyrod Taylor, or they still had Deshaun Watson, they'd probably lose at Buffalo. Then you play New England after that, then at Indy. I'm okay with going Mills the next month and see what happens.